Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, friends, to the Atlassian Clinic. I don't have some cool intro video yet, which would be a fun thing to do at some point. But today it's just us. I'll be interested to see who's here and around. All right, we already got 6 folks popping in. Hey, Lena, how you doing? Excellent, excellent. I got to tell you, folks, at the moment, I don't have any questions that I'm sitting on immediately from folks who are here to work on. That might change. We'll see as folks pop on. But that does give folks an opportunity to drop in questions that we can discuss. I have some ones that we could go into previously. I took care of this one already. I think we also took care of Angie's question. Yes, we did. Ankish's and Dave's. We can answer this question. That'll be fun. Let's give it a second for everybody to filter in. Susie, welcome. Helsinki, Finland. Excellent. So nice. All right. We will get started here in just a moment. Let me just keep an eye on a couple of other things here. A lot of fun little messages I'm getting. These all might just be reminders that the clinic was about to start because my name's Bryan and sometimes I have to think about this. Hey, Frank, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Got folks from DC, from Finland, California. This is great. This is wonderful. Let me make sure that everyone else is seeing us over on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is one. Hey, Lawrence, welcome. Or I have to also be over there because otherwise I will not see what's happening because of the way LinkedIn works currently. We'll keep it on mute and over here in the corner. And then we'll make a quick post to folks just to let them know that we're live. How do you? Sometimes you have to figure out how to use things. Amanda from Milwaukee. Woohoo! Hey, Amanda. Good to see you. I know people make all these posts to be like, we're live. I'm not big enough to make we're live posts yet. Or maybe, I don't know. But we'll get started in just 1 second. I still have the list from the original submission of the clinic, so I will use that to we'll walk through some of those to knock those out, and then we'll get into new things today. Oh, not now. I almost opened Loom, like Loom wanted to do recordings. Loom, it's not the time. Unless you're a live streaming product now too, Loom, and you haven't told me. Which, like, it's Atlassian. It's possible that they have made Loom a live streaming product and haven't told anybody. Alrighty, we got 12 folks. Hey, this is so exciting. So nice to see you all. I guess probably technically we have 11 because I'm also looking at LinkedIn. So, and we're also open on Facebook right now. I went live over on Facebook now. So, I figured why not? I actually have a lot of friends on Facebook. And so, yeah, so that'll be new over there. I don't even have like a page about this or anything. Still learning, still starting things up. I'm going to be talking to Lena and Alex a whole lot to get some tips. But, friends, welcome. So glad to have you all here. So why don't we start with, I'm going to drop a quick link in here for everybody, just so that you have it And you can use it if you haven't yet submitted. Yeah, Lena, I was gonna say, yeah, you can submit some questions here, or you can also use this link right here. That link you can also use tally.so/r/3i2i I don't know. But also you can go ahead and just drop them in here if you'd like. That's not a problem. I can pin them and hold on to them. So feel free to just drop them right in here while I go through a few that we have that I think won't take us very long that come from the original list of questions that we had from folks. So I'll run through some of those really quick while folks submit some here. So the first one I had still was from Mark Smith from Northrop Grumman. He said, "What am I to do if I work for a company that cannot move to Atlassian Cloud? When is Atlassian going to provide an IL4 and IL6 solution? Please don't say FedRAMP." Well, first, I am going to ask if there's anybody in the audience at the moment who knows the differences between, these are DoD impact levels. Okay, IL4 and IL6. Okay. IL6 is up to the secret level, highest level of security controls. FedRAMP is okay. So FedRAMP Plus is like where it comes from. So it's a great question. I don't know. I think what Atlassian is trying to do in this space is actually look at a couple of options that they're providing now, which is Atlassian it's isolated cloud and government cloud are the two options that exist that are in that place. Atlassian Government Cloud is the FedRAMP, so that probably isn't it. The other one might be isolated cloud. That would be more helpful. Hey, Rodney, happy belated Jira Admin Day. It's true to all of us. 100%. Yeah, isolated cloud is actually more secure than government cloud at this point. So it's dedicated isolation. It's not multi-tenant, and it's Atlassian managed. So that's coming in 2026. So Mark, hopefully you hear this, Mark Smith. Yeah, Lena, that's a good point. Yeah, it is hard. I know there's something they're really trying right now to do. I'm seeing more and more and more contract positions for folks who have secret clearances, and specifically around DoD procurement stuff. Nick Harmer from ZeniMax said, "I have heard a lot about Rovo, but I don't really understand what it is offering. What does Rovo bring to Confluence specifically?" Well, this is a rich topic. It's not a particular like I have a problem and how do I solve it. And so what I really want to do is start with just like a high level definition of Rovo. And we'll do some sharing here to get into some visuals. All right, let me share this screen. And then there we go. Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, if this is the topic we're going to do for the rest of the show, we can. But what is Rovo? Rovo is effectively AI teammates come to Atlassian products. What that means is there's really three major topics. When you think about Rovo, I like to think about them is I break it down into find, search, and ask. Find, search, and act. I forget. They had these three ones. Now they've changed them again already. But effectively, Rovo lets you do three things. You get a bunch of agents out of the box, which they're already built into the platform. They include specialized skills that help you work faster and smarter. So think about, I've got a marketing pro who helps write copy for me really easily. And uses my company's like marketing guidelines from our Confluence space. Another one is enterprise search, so I can connect Google Docs, Google Drive, Gmail, Figma, SharePoint, all sorts of things. There's a lot of connectors. And then I can actually bring all of that knowledge into Confluence. So I can search Confluence and get the searches for all of those things, but also it can inform when I use the AI agent. Also Slack, so I can reference all of the Slack conversations I've had, because we all know that people keep documentation in Slack even when they shouldn't. And when I say in Slack, I mean somebody pinned a Slack thread or favorited a Slack thread, and that's the thing they send somebody when they ask how to do something. And this is an example: SharePoint, Teams, Google Drive, so many. What else? Let's see. There's like so many. Airtable, ADO, Box, Bitbucket, ClickUp, custom websites. You can bring your own website in, nice and easy. DocuSign. What are some of my favorites here? Like Notion. If you have people that are using Notion, you can bring all that in. PagerDuty, ServiceNow, even. Like just all of these different things you can bring in. Stripe, all of your invoices from Stripe, you just bring them in effortlessly. And it really is effortlessly. And these can be used when you ask questions. The biggest thing that I say about Rovo that I think most people are going to experience right away is that Rovo is just straight up, I can ask a question in natural language and get an answer back, and it's based initially on my data. It's based on the stuff that I have. I'm not asking the world information. I'm asking my wiki, my Google Drive, my SharePoint, and get the answers that I need right away. And based on where I am in Confluence or Jira, it also looks at what I'm doing right now and tailors it to that situation. The cool thing with Rovo Studio is you can also build your own agents. So you can make your own agent with just natural language instructions that allow you to customize agents that work the way you need them to, based on the knowledge you want them to base themselves on. You do not have to code. You can do it all with no code. So, great question. So that's like the overview of Rovo. And in Confluence specifically, you can have Rovo draft pages. You can even use Rovo in automations. You can use a Rovo agent in an automation to run an action based on something else. So maybe when a meeting, or when a page is created or the status changes, then go create a summary and put it on this other page. Bam. And link to it. So that way you automatically have an updated summary. Like you have a summary page of all of the pages beneath it if somebody needs to catch up really quickly. Okay, Lena, great question. In the topic of Rovo, do we know how permissions and API keys are handled across multiple users when using Rovo dev agents? So talk me through this, and I'm going to do fun Google searching. One thing everybody will quickly learn on here is that I don't pretend that I know everything. It's mostly that I'm like particularly good at finding things. And so my job is to take what you and I talk about and find the right answer as we work together. So the Rovo Dev Agent. Rovo Dev Agent is an agent that helps you work on dev tickets, and it's been integrated into the Dev CLI. So that's another thing to note. CLI, the Rovo Dev CLI is not the same thing as Rovo Dev Agent. They are two different things, but they do come together in the CLI. So Rovo Dev Agents, we can see here that we can turn these on. I can see if I have them installed in my instance, but first let's go hit here. Read more about Rovo Dev Agents. Yes, in general, what Rovo Dev Agents do is they speed up the work that you're doing. So I just want to clarify, Lena, as we talk about this, do you mean the agents or do you mean the CLI itself? Because the dev agents, there's like there's like 4 or 5 different agents, but that is also different than the CLI. So I want to make sure that we're looking and working at the same thing here. And while you do that, I'm going to hop over here to make sure that its stuff is enabled in my instance. Anybody can do this right now, by the way. So anybody who is an admin can make these changes. Do you want to share a link? Is this a question in the community? I don't think we have to click all these buttons anymore. Okay, here we go. This is the group, Rovo for Software Teams Beta. Okay, so this is the group where all the information exists. Let's get in here and look here at everything that folks are talking about in this group. By the way, this is a good thing to know too. If you don't have a ton of experience in the community, there's so many things here, and particularly there's a bunch of different groups. This is where they'll host the product feedback groups for new product stuff. So it's really great to come in here and you can find what experiences folks are having. So I'm thinking we're looking at Dev CLI. So we're going to take a look here at Dev CLI. And let's see. What I would tell the person probably initially is have them use the form to add more details about their question that's being posted over and over again here on this post specifically. But then let me see if I can find a 401 in here. Yeah, and there's no 401 errors on here. The 401 is usually a redirect, I think. Let me see. Keep going. Ah, it's not CLI. Okay. From the screen that they provided, it's not CLI. So it may be just one of the agents. I mean, truthfully, that's a great question. I have to look at the agent. It has to do with their API key. Yeah. So you got to connect the source code management tool. Okay. We still got some new things here. Code Recruiter, Pipeline Troubleshooter, Code Search, and RoboChat. Okay. It's a good question. It's a good question, and I would imagine if they're in the Rovo Dev Agents group in the community, that's where I don't know if that's where you saw the question. I can't see the link for some reason. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I was wondering if you had shared the link, but I don't see your link. Do you wanna back channel it to me, Lena? Oh, you sent it to my LinkedIn. Got it. Excellent. Well, okay. Oh, my LinkedIn. Uh, Gotcha. Yeah, I would first recommend that he should really be in the Rovo Dev Agent group. the product feedback group for Rovo Dev agents. I mean, that would mean that the API key that he put in would have to be incorrect. User A set up Rovo Dev agents initially using this link. User B with admin privileges. Well, okay. Did the initial person work? Did it work for the initial person? That would be my first question. Number two would be, yeah, that's interesting. Well, and they also both have to be in the group. They have to be in the Rovo Dev Agents group. So if we look at the instructions, wherever those are, which, here we go. So users have to be in the Rovo Dev Agents admins group. So I have to be able there to activate agents and get Bitbucket. Yeah, I think that would make sense. Yes, absolutely. If they're going to be admins, and then there's the users option too. And the difference between activating them in Bitbucket workspaces and GitHub orgs versus using Code Planner or coding agents in Jira. So it's possible that one person is in one of these and not the other. It's often important, and this is a great tie back. Often important to remember, just because you're an admin in your organization does not mean you have admin access to all of the things in your organization. So admin privileges are separate. Like org admin privileges, you might be an Atlassian admin, but you may not be an admin specifically for Rovo Dev agents. So that's the thing that absolutely I agree with you. I would have them go check. Great question. Excellent, excellent question. All right, let's see what else we have here in the list of questions. All right, this is. Then we go back to this. There we go. Okay. I'm still learning how all of this StreamYard stuff works. And like I can hide this now, hide the current comment. Okay. What's next? Rodney, one of us, one of us. Okie dokie. Noreen says, why are there instances when the value of a custom field is just blank, but when you check it, it contains a value? So most of the times that happens, a project needs reindexing. Somebody, like, it's a new custom field that's been added to a new context or something, and you've put data in it, but you haven't reindexed the project, and therefore the new information in the custom field isn't showing up. Outside of that, it can be permission based. It could also be like if you did it through an automation rule, something is like it might just take a minute for things to show up. We'd want to have a little bit more detail about when that is happening. So, Noreen, if you hear this, come back and we'll talk about it more. Robert Jacobs from Buena Tech asked this, and I'll have to make sure he knows. We can all pass the words. Oh, someone played with post functions on statuses before Jira 8. Don't do this to me, Rodney. Don't do it to me. Um, they ask, is the clinic specific to Atlassian cloud products and capabilities, or does it include both Jira DC and cloud deployments? Folks, give me 5 minutes. I need to go run and take care of something, but I'll be right back. The answer is that the clinic is open to all of them, including DC. I just need to go let my dogs out, and then I'll be right back. Okay, friends, I've returned. Sorry, I have a lot of dogs, and they needed attention. Oh, wait. Where did I go? What? Oh, I'm back, but I'm also not back because I have a dog. Still causing problems. Hold on 1 second. All right, I'll be right back. If you pee in here, I'm going to cut off your balls. I know they're already cut off, but I'll do it again. Okay. I'm back. All right, Rob. Sorry about that, friends. We got dogs who needed attention. And my partner is sleeping because he did not sleep last night because one of our dogs kept waking him up every hour. So Rob Naden asked, how do you tie organizations in JSM to customers in assets? Good question. I don't know that you can. You already did the thing I told you not to. Huh? Wait, no. I said no. And you immediately peed. Like a dick. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see here. Well, assets and customers, if you have assets in customers, let's actually flip that on. It says there are customers in JSM. There are organizations in JSM. You can group customers in JSM into organizations. So organizations are groups of customers that can be used in multiple service projects. So we've got to be asking this question in another way, which would mean you can't do that, but what you can do is create a custom schema that's using a field from the organization to tie it to assets. So that's something you can do. and is how I would recommend doing that, because because customers are individuals, I believe. Yes. So, yep, service project customers are, let's go over this. I love to always show folks that we're dealing with documentation here. So nothing should be so concerning that you can't find it yourself. So customers are people who request help from your service project. So Jira Service Management converts requests that customers raise into work items for agents to work on. So you might have external customers or internal customers. External customers are your external to your company usually. Internal customers are they have an Atlassian account with customer understanding. So they're usually like people who work at your company, but they don't have access maybe to more of the details inside of that particular project. Now, organizations are groups of customers that are shared across service projects. So you can group a bunch of customers into Acme organization and then add that organization to another service project so that you are sharing those customers across organizations. So if you wanted to map customers to in assets to organizations, what you're really wanting to do is you're saying, I want to bring the organization field from I want to sync the organizations field into the customer record in JSM. And so the way that I would do that, that's something we can do. So what we would do for that is, I don't know why I'm getting told about an education discount. Who knows? 75% off. Huh. But what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Jira. I did not add JSM yet. Interesting. Hold on. More Atlassian apps. There we go. Let me add this. Okay, let's go to JSM here. Did you want to come back up here, sir? Freeho? Do you want to come up? Come on. Hi. You can't see him yet, but I will give you a taste of one of the unimaginable cuties that I have in my life. This is Frijolio. He is one of my doggos. So as we look at this, okay, so what we're going to do is let's go ahead. Oh, I don't know when assets became, because it's in premium. That's why. Jira Service Management Premium comes with assets. Jira Service Management Standard does not. That's a thing to be aware of as we launch this. Cool, no problem. It's not like it's going to charge me anything. Yes, I know. Okay, back to here. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we're going to create a JSM project. Just to give folks a little bit of idea of how this is going to work. We'll do an IT service management project, and we'll let it handle most of the details for us. It's a template. It's going to have all of these request types, service request types, incident request types, some change request types, and some automations that are just going to happen here. So we're going to click Use Template. All right. IT team, they do a bunch of things sort of in the background here. We'll use restricted for a moment. I'm just going to do that so I can show you all sort of how we handle this. Company managed. Notice, Rodney, there's no option. Oh, you need a dog? Okay, Rod. Lena, I can help with that. I have 9. I mean, you can't have any of the ones that I have, but I can help you convince him. All right, we're going to get this project set up. Woo! I'm just going to add all of these fun little things. They have a whole bunch of other ones you can add if you need. Get developer support, product trial questions, suggest a new feature, report a bug. And basically, the way that these work is it's a whole request type sort of built in for you, and you can just add it. So they make it really easy to get started, get developer support. All right, what needed? All right, continue here. Added your request types. Edit your request. No, we're fine. Absolutely, honestly. Okay. The tour. Should we take a tour, friends? I mean, let's take a brief tour. So we've got queues over here. These are basically um, requests in different categories, and you can set up these categories. And also, the queues are basically defined by JQL queries. That's JQL for everybody else. There are also new ways to manage work, so they sort of filter these things into the categories here. So changes, problems, incidents. This helps the way you can manage changes through a CI/CD pipeline. Even operations. This is where a lot of Ops Genie went before, so we can find that in there. Okie dokie. I could update the portal name, do all these other things, but here's what I want to do from here. All right. So in here, in our project, don't anybody here go customers. So I'll add a customer. Freeho touched the keyboard. I can create an organization if I'd like, so let's create one. Woohoo! We created an organization. We have a customer, but they probably aren't showing up yet because they've been invited but haven't joined yet. So I'm going to go hop off screen briefly and I'm going to join the organization. Okay, now if we come back to here and if we go over to here again and I refresh this, there we go. There's the customer. All right, so now let's go take a look at assets. So in assets, we want to create a schema. And honestly, we're probably working here with IT asset management. You can do people as well. So this is who owns what. That's sort of what this one does too. They sort of work across different, you'll see how this works. So I'm gonna go IT asset management template. All right. Let that be called IA. All right, so these are the assets. Now, interestingly, as you can see, like let's go take a look at this. Let's create a phone. Oh, interesting. That would be the individual phone that we'd be creating. The model we can select from here. So first we'd want to do hardware models. Create an object. There's a lot. Oh, not even the categories exist there. Model categories. So yeah, you have to set all of this stuff up. This is always fun. So now I can go in here and choose a mobile phone and say, I could put, now I have a hardware model called iPhone 16. It's a mobile phone. And then I could actually go create an instance of this phone, which is, it's an iPhone 16. There we go. And we can put a whole bunch of fun information in here to say when it was bought. All of these different pieces you can add in here. So like, in use, here we go. Operational status, active. All this other information that you would track, like the IMEI ownership type. Company owned, let's say, device type, physical. So so one of the things is that these different templates come with this information. So we've got a phone. There we go. Here's the thing we don't have. We don't have people right now, right? So the next thing you can do is in assets. And this is all to get to this point. I'm doing all this because this is the thing that we have to do in order to get to this person. So, oh no, I don't want to create another project. No. Assets, schemas, create a schema, people. This is, well, I want to show something here. It says this is designed to integrate with IT assets and facilities templates. So when we build this template, it's going to integrate with the other one that we just had. Okay, so we're going to create a category. Let me just see. When we create an employee object here, we'll leave it my name. Here we go. So now we get the Atlassian account ID. And the way that this stuff is going to start happening, okay, this is helpful to know, is that, and I haven't looked at almost any of these things, but you can see here, Atlassian account ID, right? So this information, you can see the manager name, job role, department. So you can see how this stuff starts to sort of connect. Let's see here, schema settings. So you can build and import once you put people's information in. Like I can build and import and match against this employee. So today we don't have an account ID. That's fine. We don't have a manager role. All of that's fine. the thing we're doing here now is, now that I've created this, we're going to go back to our schemas. We're going to go to IT assets. We're going to go to phones. And who is this assigned to? Let's see here. Where are we going to make that happen? Let's look at the attributes here. So I don't currently see a built-in assigned to. So effectively here, well, actually I want to, how do I do this? I have to make a reference across, which I don't remember how to do at the moment. But what I can do is I can reference this across to a person. But let's get back to the most important part here, which is people. Sorry, this is what happens when I am I bet I know what I have to do here, actually. Hold on. At the top of this, here, I need to build in assets now. Where is this now? Man. Building references at the top here. That's how a reference here works. Okay, outbound references, add a schema reference, create references for all schemas, go to assets and then settings, and then you go to create a reference. So we're in assets, and then somewhere in assets there's settings. There it is. Global reference types. So there is a reference type here. Okay, well, so I think what I actually have to do then is go back here, go here. Thank you, Freeho. This is so nice. Appreciate you. Okay, currently, truthfully, friends, I don't see how I There's got to be a way to bring this across into users, and I'm just not sure how to do it off the top of my head. The schema graph here for all object types inside of this specific schema, true, but I know that I can reference across schemas. So there we go. Assets from the object schema's list view. So select settings next to the reference, the schema. This is another thing, friends, I want everybody to know is like literally do not be afraid to do Google things. So allow others. I think that's the one. Yes, allow others to select the objects from the schema. There we go. Let me go here. So now if I go here and I go to here and I have a mobile phone and we want to add an attribute for that phone that's called owned by or assigned to. That's using users straight from there. Object. Here we go. Employees. Bam. Or I can use reference. That also works too. Add. And now I can do, there we go. So now we know that Bryan has a laptop, and we know this because if we go back to the schema and we go look at people and we go look at Bryan, well, what we should have is, let's see here, a reference back. Not really sure why that didn't work. Assets are wild, friends, and I'm not going to pretend that this is my favorite part of it. But what somebody asked was, how do you account for the customer or for the organization? So normally, what you would look at here. So this is a people reference. We see manager name, job role. What we don't have in here is organization. So an easy way to do this would be to take a look at this schema and take a look at the attributes of the schema. And what we might actually do is add a new object type called organization. We'll make it a concept. There's no parent here. Create organization. And then what we would want to do is anytime in our Jira Service Management IT request project that we get JSM organizations created, that they also create a record in assets. And the way that you would do that is, let's check a couple of things. The first thing is there an automation way to do this? And so we would go to project settings and automation. So one more thing, customer permissions, people and access. Just making sure there's not anything anywhere else here. I doubt there is, but it's always great to check. Things change these days in Atlassian world so fast The answer is just we figure it out and we document it and we move on, because we can no longer guarantee that the thing that we did before will be the same. Because we do not have sort of consistent updates all of the time. So create rule, create from scratch. What I would do is when add a trigger, and then we would look to see if there is a trigger that works here for us. Skip the tour. We don't need that. Okay. Let's look at Jira Service Management here. Any special triggers for this? Approval required, email reaction, forms. Probably not. Let's see. All triggers. So an easy way that you might be able to pull this off, and this is an interesting way that you could see, and we can test this really quick, is we might be able to get the information about the organization from the work item. And if that's the case, then what we could do is, so let's just see here. When work item created. Then, so we'll start here. If, and we want to check work item fields condition. So let's see what the fields are offered here. Organizations, there we go. Is not empty. Then what you would do is you would do a lookup objects action where you would look up that's not going to be the ones that I want. Oh, from IT assets, I see. From people. There's your smart values here. So lookup objects object type is what we would use. Oh, I have an example of object type lookup somewhere. But you would look it up basically, and then what you would do is you would look up to see if the or basically if any of the objects in the organization name. Look up objects. Let's see here, because I want to do this whole thing. Smart values for assets. Here we go. So Here we go. This is an easy way to do this. The actual object here, we can do it that way. That makes it easy. I always forget like how I end up then. Okay, I have to figure all these things out. But what you would do is you would look up the organization's name because you're going to do this more complicated. Really fun. Um, you look up objects, organization. Okay. Nope, with the dots here. Look up objects.organization. I don't understand. Maybe that's good syntax. It's not really clear to me, but okay. Like, okay, what I want really up here is employees, no, organization. There we go. Organization name. No clue how this part works right here, to be honest. Super weird. It's not working. But what we would theoretically, what we want to do is we want to look up the organization. We want to then see basically do any of the name values match, and if they don't, then um look up objects from people. Object ID equals 19. Great. Okay, that's actually exactly what I wanted. Okay, cool. That's exactly how we want it to be. Validate syntax. It's good. So then we would go um if well, it was on the field before. Maybe we have to use a custom field. But then basically we'd look up to see does not equal this work item field. I should just be able to do work item organizations. Here we go. It is a custom field. Gotcha. Then create object. And we would create an object in the people We choose the organization, and this would be that value again. And so why you can't, I guess the important thing to note here is there's probably a way using the API. I have to look, but you can, because I know you can do this inside of, you can do a REST API import, which means you can do an import against the Jira API. So you can, this is one of the things that they were actually better at inside of Atlassian, inside of other products. But like if I am in here and I go to an import, I can create an import and I can do a external import. That's a good question. A JSON import. There we go. Like basically what you can do is you can build an import against some of the things. A bunch of different ways to do this. There's discoveries that you can run, but you could discover against your own Jira instance and get the organizations out, and then you could bring them in, and then they would be quote unquote linked that way. But I think it's important to note that ultimately you're just creating references for all of this. That's probably the easiest way to do it, honestly. Like that's the cleanest way to do it instead of automation is probably up against the API because then you're just pulling directly against those. And as they get created, you still have to run a new import, but it is one way to get it. The other way to do it is to do this exact thing. What I would do if you're building this rule and you're creating the organization, then the next thing I'm probably going to recommend that you do is do a REST API call against the same like JSM API to get the organization ID and stick that in the same record so that you have a pointer to which organization it actually is in Jira service management as related to assets. So that's the closest way you can link them. There's not like a native way of linking them today. So this is sort of like a workaround. Woo, 10 of you stayed around for all of that. I'm impressed. All right. What else we got, friends? Next up. Sean asked me if this hurts. Hire me, Sean. Let me come work at release team. This is my cry. Stacy hopefully will be back in the future. Susan is coming next week. We're going to work on a couple of her things around dynamically adding her value to the drop-down list and wrapping this around to being able to use a Forge automation action to do it, which would be really fun. And so instead of the 14 different steps that we took, how do we do it through like a new automation action we've built that we can build to effectively be used for any custom field, and it does the work automatically for each custom field. And Tushar asked, is there any reliable, easy option to find out the app usage in Jira/Confluence, i.e., how many users, projects, spaces using the specific app like add-on, so it's easy to evaluate whether to keep it or not? Hey, Rodney, you want to answer this question? Rodney might have disappeared for me, but here's the answer. No. At the moment, there's not an easy way to monitor the app usage in Jira Cloud. Atlassian has, I think, all of the stuff they have here. Like they built something last year for cloud, for data center, for app usage. Why? Well, because they want people to get off of data center. So people are evaluating: do I need these custom, like these this app usage, like this app, as I move to Jira Cloud. There is some gain into app use and security practices. Okay, well, actually, you can see how many users have access to your apps. You can active users per apps. This is again only at a like product app level. So Jira, Confluence. It does not like talk about your marketplace apps or that usage. Today, that's not a thing you can really do. What you would have to do today, what would have to be done today, I think, is either all the marketplace vendors get on board with a standard for reporting usage where they have an API in their products, and then somebody could build like an overarching like usage tool, or you're going to have to like go to each company and ask them, is there like a query that I can do to find that information? At the moment, there's not a clean and easy way to get usage insights, I don't believe, for anything in Atlassian Cloud. I'm just checking to make sure that I'm not wrong. No, I think at this moment, I think this will probably change to some degree as Atlassian makes some changes to the way they offer tools and marketplace apps. So you can get database statistics. Achilles Consulting made a tool in 2022 that works with cloud called Site Statistics from Jira. So that could be helpful. That's this app right here. But other than that, no, I don't really believe there is anything. Huh. Nope, doesn't look like there is anything there. Statistics of the usage of apps in cloud. In fact, well, in 2019, Atlassian said, or 2021, they said, we're not doing this. Let me see if there's anything else that changes this. There is an open ticket about some of this. So if you want to vote on an issue, that monitoring section for admins that was opened, I mean, in 2020, it's still open. This is one of the other best things that ever happens in the world, is that you just basically like looking to see if anybody's asked these questions. And then seeing if there's anything out there that anybody's asked about. And if there is, then you vote on it. Not the most efficient way. You can also open a support ticket. You can also complain to your account manager. All those things work. All right, those are all of the questions that I have in the doc. I'm going to go check to see if we have anything in the intake. I do have one from Andrea. Or Andrea. Andrea, are you still here? Andrea Coop at hannahanderson.com. All right, we're going to keep going here. The question is, I would like to customize the look and feel of my Jira Service Management portal beyond the banner and background. Specifically, I'd like to change the font size on the panel or on the type on the portal. And then I would like to change the font size and type styling on the form fields linked from my portal. Well, unfortunately, you can change text color. You can change banner link and button color. You can change the banner. You can change the Help Center logo, homepage title, and the Help Center name. You can change banner text color, nav background color, and nav text color. What you cannot do is change the text size, at least not with anything built in. So, my recommendation, if like something you have to do, you're going to be looking at a product like Refined. It's a site building product. It lets you do sites for Jira Service Management, so you can theme your service desks. And let's just confirm to see whether you can change font size. You probably can, knowing them. Let's see here. So the text module allows let's look at the formatting here. Text sizes. Yes, text in a module can be changed from 10 to 72 pixels. There are 5 different heading styles. I don't know if they have fonts. They may not have custom fonts yet. Let's look. All modules use the font that you set in the theme. So you set a font theme in your overall theme that you use for Refined. I'm over here looking at Refine's documentation. But that is how you end up managing the fonts. So Refined would be a good choice. There's other tools that do this as well. So you will need to get a marketplace app for that. Anybody else have anything? I'm throwing it to the audience here. Dear audience, are you all there? How are we doing? What's going on? Am I missing anybody anywhere? Let me go take a spin around and see if anybody's lost in the wilderness. Oh, Neil dropped in. Hi, Neil. I missed you. This is tricky. So difficult to catch some of this stuff. Um, oh, thanks so much, Rodney, for mentioning me, the Jira guy. So excellent. I have to figure out how to capture all of these comments more effectively. When was that? Neil was 4 minutes ago. Hey, Neil. You're off doing a whole new thing now. Neil used to be an incredible developer advocate at Atlassian and has now moved on to found his own company. So keep an eye on Neil because he's pretty cool. And I'm currently like wide in my, yeah, let's go back here. Cool. Excellent. Yeah, same here. I'm going to probably start mapping out. So one of the things that somebody asked me yesterday, a friend of mine, was, is there a way to create a Rovo agent that could help you keep track of licensing for your Jira Service Management agents? Anybody who knows that JSM agent authorization, agent licenses, are very expensive. They're like $33 a pop per agent per month. I think they go down as you get more. But and so I was like, well, that would be interesting to do, and I actually think it's something that we could do. So I took a little spin with my friend Claude to just have a conversation about how we might do this. And I want to talk about how do we think about figuring some of these things out. And so actually what I'll do is let me go into flip over to here. Okay, let's go to Confluence and let's create a whiteboard and then I'll share it with everybody. So how do we start to think about building some of these things, right? This is the question. When I'm trying to think about building like a Rovo agent or an automation, how do I start like mapping that whole thing out? And so, like honestly, I probably am one of those monsters who actually starts with like a blank freaking whiteboard, and then I just start like in the middle, and I think about what is my ultimate goal that I need, right? So let's put a little block down here. Well, okay. Ah, what do I want for my finished agent? I want a count of I want a count of total license. Let me think about this. If I'm trying to track license usage, what I really want to know is I want to know how many users can I remove a license from. Like that's my ultimate question that I want to know the answer to. To know that, I need to think about when do I consider a user as inactive for JSM. And then this might be turned into, right, we're going to get some questions over here. So this is going to be my. I need to answer some questions. When do I consider a user as an active for JSM? How do I determine if someone is is an agent in JSM? Now this one I actually. And, another way is. Oh, then it popped in finally. That's weird. It took me like a bunch of time to pop in. What, 30 days of no activity? 30 days of not being on the site? Or what about. What other how can I get what other signal could I get? Oh, it's a good question. Good question. What other signal can I get to help me understand if they're permanently or temporarily out of commission? I mean, so I could think about what their are they still I mean, is their account active? I'm gonna have trouble. I happen to know, just as a cheap thing, Rovo agents cannot do and I'm trying to do just a Rovo agent here. I'm not trying to have some external service I'm also using. So a thing that I know is that Rovo agents like can't check um like this is actually not going to work because Rovo agents um can't check admin information. So I can't get this information about them being on the site overall. I can tell this, but that comes back to this, right? So then if they're it's been only that, but there's I mean, right, so we have to think about now what would happen. So what we would be solving for particularly here is maybe someone's on leave, but why would they still have tickets assigned to them if they're on leave? So I would be like, if I haven't seen somebody for 30 days, but there's still tickets assigned to them, my inclination would be to leave them and not remove their license because um, if I am trying to think critically about what is my job is to figure out how many licenses are available to be cleaned up. My job is not to say whether or not somebody should have a license in terms of like here's this ambiguous question, like are they gone for good or are they still around? I mean, the signal that you're sending me from your team is that if that person has issues work items assigned to them, then they are still working them because otherwise they shouldn't be assigned. So there might be a need, like I might make a note over here which is like things to communicate. I would definitely not use that. I would use a text box. What is that? A card. Oh, interesting. Things to communicate to downstream stakeholders. This depends on you keeping assignments. A work item. So I might then also just do like here's a text thing. I'm gonna just do a big text part over here. Now that we're working this together, we're starting to understand, I think. One of our big categories. Will you just let me put a text box down? Is questions. So then I like take this whole thing, put it over here, move this over here. Oh, we know this is not going to work because we talked about the admin thing. So it's going to have to be this one. Cool, 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 cool. Okay. So I want to use 30 days of not working on any tickets in the projects they're a service team member for. Are there stamps? There are stamps. Okay, cool. I'm going to use a stamp here. So this is good. And this is good. We've decided that this one is. How many stamps are there? Not relevant. Ooh, woo! So I now know that I can. When do I consider a user as an actor for JSM? What other signal can I get to help me understand? Yeah, what if they're. All right, we already decided this, so I should probably add a note to that. Any other questions I need to answer? Can you all think of any other questions we need to answer as we think about, like, if we wanted the ultimate question that we're asking is how many users can I remove JSM agent licenses from? Are there any other questions that we would want? Like, we have an inactive user. How do we determine if they're an agent? Is there anything else that we want to know that feeds into being able to answer our question? All right, nobody else. Nobody else has any thoughts. I think the only questions that we need to answer is when do I consider them inactive? How do I determine if they're an agent? I have one more. How do I want to display um, the output? Oh, sorry, that's actually two. Where do I want to display the output? And we're starting to build a couple of things here. So I just want to think about this way. So what we have now is we are going to have two different pieces here when we think about our agent. One is that let's make this our agent here. Okay, how do I do that? Okay, that's what I want. I want him. Oh, perfect. Ah, all right. So let's give him some fun color, more border, make him a little bigger. This guy. Well, there we go. Ooh, make that bigger. Okay, so for our agent to operate, he's going to need let's give these different color. Actually, we're gonna do it like this. Okay, here we go. I have a couple ideas here. So we're gonna have, yeah, because we're gonna have. Don't change his shape. Give him a give. Let's get a new shape. All right, so this guy is our question. As an example. Ah, yep. Okay. Can I rotate this mofo? No. Boo. You get sideways on these? No. Gross. So this is who is an agent. That's a data point. When were they last active? Also a data point. And then down here, we'll have a rounded rect. At a minimum, this is going to be list of agents that can have the license removed. That's what needs to come out. How that looks, we can talk about. But we now understand. Let's give this a different color too. We know the question we're asking, we know the information we need, and then the agent is going to figure it out, take with that information, and then give us the answer. So at this point, we can start thinking about how would the agent. So there's a couple of things in building a Rovo agent. So let's talk about that really quick. Bunch of different ways to build Rovo agents. So you can create an agent with specialized knowledge. There is the Rovo Agent Studio, which is where most of the agent creation happens. Now, you can create an agent, and you create an agent by describing it. One of the things, you can also manually configure the agent. You can give it knowledge, you can point it to the projects. We might be able, we might be able to build this Rovo agent without needing to write code. I can't say for sure. I think part of the questions we'd have to understand is what kind of actions do Rovo agents have? So we can see here. Well, it tells a little bit, there's some that when you're looking at the agent you can see here. So let's go in here. Let's get in there and take a look. Can we do this? Can we do this inside of a regular builder? First of all, is Rovo even on? I bet it's not. Let's see here. Why? Oh, Rovo is activated. Okay. Was this where I was? I never know. What's it say? Yeah, those are all activated. Okay. There we go. Ugh. Hey, Matt. All right, let's see here. Let's see what happens here. Well, look at this. I want on reducing our I have to fix a few things. Well, look at this. Oh, none of those are important. Okay. Well, let's just like. Oh, interesting. And identified tickets where there's no assignee. Hmm. I'm wondering whether a user has the service desk. So now I'm interrogating it to see how it's actually doing this. Yeah, no. Okay, so here's the answer. It can't do this on its own. I don't think the agents that we're building directly in Rovo Studio have the ability to make some of the API have the ability to make the API calls that we would need to have them make. So, what would we do here? Well, what we would do is ah okay. Rovo agent overview. Well, that's not helpful. Rovo. So there are instructions here that talk about how you can build these things. So integrate with your team's data agents with strict logic, deep your agents. So these different capabilities. So what you want to think about is then how am I going to build this whole thing? And what you're going to do is you're going to start with a couple of cool. I mean, you would want to read this stuff. You'd want to look at some of the Atlassian documentation. So they have a bunch of different modules, like the different modules here, and there's some example apps you can look at. The issue analyst. What we're going to want to do is like we are going to want to integrate with they have the Hello World, they have a Q&A app. All of these, oh, where's this one extend? It's still like you really want to build what we're going to do is we're going to build a Rovo agent here. And you see that the agent, so there's two modules here. There's the agent module and the action module. And the action module is where you can do things special. So, it's where you can. Lena, that's a great question. I'm not sure there is. Uh, Let's see. Hmm. Is there? I mean, any Rovo agent, yeah, I feel like there are so many. You're so right. It is very true. This is absolutely, it's not very organized. What I want to understand is what can I do as a Rovo with a Rovo agent versus the studio versus code? Which one? And I want Atlassian to tell me very clearly. And I don't think Atlassian tells me very clearly. This is very typical of Atlassian. Here's a Rovo walkthrough, which talks about Rovo chat agents and studio, but it doesn't tell you anything about building your own Rovo agents. But I, if I can't get it, if I can't describe it to do something, I'm just going to build it. Because with a Forge action module, so this is what I want to show, the action is effectively a key that matches the function. Well, no, it's not the same. But the key here is that we're going to actually write the function that does the thing when we ask it things, and that's what we want. Is we want it to do a certain set of things when we ask the question. So the business logic for the action is in the reference forge function. So I can create a payload and context, and they're passed into the function as IDs. And then the agent side is sort of the way you talk to the whole thing. What's its conversation like? What are the starters? What are the actions that we're going to have? We're going to build some of this stuff, build this stuff out, but there's going to be functions involved here to help it do specific things. And it does talk about like where are the interaction points, what are the prompts. But yeah, there is a specific thing where there's not a whole bunch of clear information on, because you're going to provide the data back in the function, and then the agent is going to decide how to display it based on AI effectively. So you don't have the same, like we're going to be defining Rovo agent, and then we're also going to define action in the same manifest. And we're going to put those two things together, and then you can add it a as an action or as an agent in your system. So sorry, that was Freeho, I think. What we would want to do next is we would want to start to write our agent. We would want to start to write our agent manifest. I was not really planning to turn this into a Rovo thing today or a Forge thing today. But at the same time, uh, what we've done is let's see here. So where are my files? Where did you put them? Are they over here? They are. Well, I can't. Is all of it over here? I'm just trying to look really quick. Those are the utility functions. I'm trying to figure out where I worked with Claude and asked Claude to put something together, which is like my favorite thing to do in many cases. All right, where are all the files? Oh, there they are. Ha 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 ha. So this is a great example of, let me just switch, because this is a great example where I just have a lot of fun. And I like, once I understand the limitations, I will go and like have a conversation with my friend the computer and say, okay, well, what I want to do is this. So like, why don't we talk about how we can make this happen? So Claude has built for me now a manifest, action handlers, there's a visualization component. Oh, oh, it uses libraries we don't support. Yeah, I bet. Just give me the code. That's what I want. Um, stop that. The package.json, the README, and even some additional stuff if you wanted to put it into Confluence, and the utility functions for additional metrics. Now, here's the question: will it all work? I have no idea. Right? I have literally no idea. That's okay, because what I do have is documentation on how things are supposed to work. And so, really, what I could do is start by just going, okay, here's this information about this module. Does this module, like, does this structure match up with what I know about how the Rovo modules are supposed to work? Did they build these things based on the documentation that I know? Does it make sense? And then I just will walk through all of those things. And then if they look like they're right, then I would leave them and keep them. And then I would try it. I would install it in an internal uh development instance, and I would try it and see if something broke. And then I would use the instructions in Forge about how you do logging. And this is one of those calls where I'm going to say to people, you should get involved in Forge. I'm hoping actually next week or the week after to start a class on Forge. We're going to do not a class, but like a clinic on Forge. So it'll probably be on like Tuesdays or Fridays. I don't know yet. But the goal will be for us to have, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert in this. So I'm actually working with other developers to have them come in and do what we're doing for like administration, but for Forge. So if you want to learn, you can come and bring your problems and they'll help you so that we can continue to do the clinic, but with different areas and different ways. I'm also planning on Mondays to start a Marketplace Mondays where we go over Marketplace apps. And that can be people have come and said, I want to know more about this Marketplace app. How does it work? And we'll try it out and we'll go through and do some things with it. Or I will pick Marketplace apps and we'll go through them and we'll see how things go. At this point, friends, I think what we're going to do is let's take like a 10-minute break. I need to go get some water. I need to go check on all these dogs. I have one sitting here on my table. Hi, Frijolio. Yeah, hi. You are a good boy. But why don't we let's take a break until 2:30 p.m. Pacific, and then we will return and do some more clinic if we got some more questions from folks. And I'll make some more posts so we can bring some more people in. All right, friends. I want to figure out how to do this just like that. date, and then I'm going to put an image up in a second. Don't know why they look different. Can't tell. And then Okie dokie. So, Lena, I'm looking at what you're saying here. See, I thought Rovo dev agents were specifically agents related to doing development work. That was my understanding. So, and then there are code agents and no code agents. So confusing. Like, um, yeah, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know if yeah, the language may be different, but I think what you're saying, like, I think there's two types of dev agents. There's like the agent that you build with Forge, a Forge Rovo agent, and Rovo Dev agent is the agent that helps you do development work inside of Atlassian tools. But I think you're right that what I need is an agent built in Forge so that it can actually call on the API. Um, you can link or send me some of the links for some of the stuff because I do think yeah, because I think Forge agents and Rovo Dev agents are still like weirdly different. Um, who else is still around? Okay, so we got 7 people out here. If folks, if you're around, you go ahead and shout us out. Just say hi. See who's here on the second half of our time right now. Um, would love to hear if anybody else has any questions that they want us to dive into. I'm going to make a post on LinkedIn. Not in Atlassian jobs anywhere. Here we go. Oh, cool. Hey, Kennedy, I'll check them out. All right, excellent. Amazing. No, you're good. Okay. I just wish LinkedIn would make it easier for me to add a link to an event that was currently running. It shouldn't be so hard, but surprise, it is. That was even worse. There you go. Let me just copy this link. No clue why it's doing that. Anyway, let's go. All right, Kennedy, let me take a look at your lists. Your things that you sent in. Do, 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 do. How exciting. Truly. All right, so I think we got one from, so we got here, need to delete all options on a custom field. Is there a way besides deleting one at a time? Let me just, as we're working through this, let me do this. So, there we go. We're just going to keep that scrolling across the bottom because that's fun. Okay, so let's talk through this a little bit. You need to delete custom field options, and you don't want to delete them one at a time. You're deleting them from the UI today, like you're just going into Jira, and let me bring up my other. I don't understand what's going on. Okay, here. There we go. Now I need to share something. And then let's go to over here. All right, so we're in Jira. She's at 35 up. Okay, I got you. Okay, this is right. Okay, so this is where the API becomes your best friend. Are these all custom field options? Well, it doesn't really matter whether they're in a single context or a separate context. You're going to use the same thing anyway. Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to do this. I mean, well, let me ask you this. Do you have new options? Do you know what the new values are? we'll start with how to delete them. So REST API v3, you can use v2 still. It's still active, but it's effectively the same thing, so we'll stick with v3. So if you want to delete them, so this is at developer.atlassian.com. It's the Jira Cloud Platform REST API. There's only 6 new. You have those too. Cool. We're going to learn to write a little script. And again, I am going to rely on Claude a little bit here. I'm not a coder. Some of these things I'm slowly picking up, but I always forget how to do certain things. So what we want to do is take the new options we have, and we want to put them in as the replacement from our ones that we currently have. So let me just look here. Field ID, option ID, context ID. Oh, interesting. That there's a whole bunch of other things too. Are these in use on any issues right now? We're just going to have fun here. We're going to use the delete custom field options. And the way we're going to do it is we need a couple of things. We need the custom field ID, and we need the context ID, and we're going to need the option IDs, but we're going to actually get those from the custom field. Okay. So we're going to get all the custom field options, and then we're going to delete them all. So we're going to use 2 calls here. So the things we need are the field ID and the context ID. So the way that we would go get those, we're in Jira, Command K, custom fields. Here's one, access level. So I'm going to edit the context here. So I can see a couple of things here. Right now I have the custom field ID here, right? So custom field access level. So here's my custom field number 10145. All right, so I'm going to make a note of that. And then I'm going to edit this context. Actually, no, I'm just going to hover over it. Because if you then see at the bottom of my screen, there's a thing at the very end of the URL there that says config scheme ID. That's your context ID. So that's 10259. So okay, so now I need to get all the custom field options, and then I need to delete them all. So I am going to do 2 things here. One of the things I never remember is how authentication ends up working, or the URLs that you have to use, and they can sometimes get different when you're using the URIs for ad hoc APIs. All right, you're just going to use the name of your site and then API 3 and then the resource name. Okay, cool. So in my case, that'd be one Atlas JQL. So let me just actually do this really quick. Why can't we share more things more effectively? Okay, I didn't know this. Hold on. Oh no, I just get individual options here. Okay. Let's go over to these notes, this notes file, and I'll just walk us through a few things here. This is when maybe I should have a second screen. I wish I could make a virtual screen on my screen. That would be helpful. But anyway, friends, I'm babbling. So what we need is our custom field ID and our context ID. And just as a reminder, the way that we get those is okay. Here, you know what? Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna make this just easier for everybody. Okie dokie. Let's get a bunch of this stuff out of the way. Share this whole screen with y'all. When I can figure out where there it is. Okay. Down. Then just, oh. Got it. There we go. All right. So now I can show you all stuff together. So what we're doing with custom field options here. So first of all, this is how I know what the URL needs to be for the ad hoc API calls. Little instruction right here. And then I know from a custom field options, I want to get custom field option context. So that's this guy. And then I want to delete custom field options context, which is this guy. And the reason I know that those are the things that I need to do this is that when I look, I need the field ID and the context ID. Now, according to delete, I also need the option ID. But what I'm going to be doing with the get custom field options is I'm going to have it get all of the options. The parameters you need are the ones that are in the curly braces. So when I make this call, it's going to get all of the options that exist. So that's what we'll use to then basically feed into our next step, which is I'm going to delete them all. So what I want to do is now I'm going to go use Claude because, again, like I said, a lot of these things are a struggle for me to remember yet, but I know what I want to do. So I can say, hey, Claude, I need a small Python, or it can be JavaScript, or it can be whatever, that retrieves all the custom options from custom field ID with the number 10145 and context ID 10259, and then deletes them all and then deletes them all. I'm actually going to say use Jira Cloud Platform REST API version 3. Here are some reference URLs. I just don't remember the language to how to do this all. So, oh, boo, what? Really? That's shady. All right, well, then I guess we're going to ChatGPT. Yes, I pay for all of them. And here's our script. Here's our script. And basically, the way that this works is I can understand it now. So it's importing these libraries, OS, sys, and requests. So these set these environment variables. And instead of encoding them in the script themselves, that's better. Then it gets them. It uses the custom field ID and the context ID. It has a page size, so if you had like hundreds of them, you would be okay. And then it's going to start by it's defining the helper functions. So this first function gets all of the custom field options. It starts at 0, and the options go in this little box. So while true, and Bernardina, you know code better than I do. So if I'm misexplaining any of this, stop me and correct me. So while true, in other words, we're starting at 0 and we're going to go through and we're going to basically get the values. And if the values are smaller than the size of the page, then we're done. Yes, I can. I can zoom. I maybe can zoom in. Oh yes, this way. Ooh, let me make this bigger too. Okay. Chat puts it in this stupid window. Let me actually. Oh, here's an easier way to do it. Let's take this. Beep. I am the most chaotic when it comes to using like. Okay, now let's take this and make this bigger. Zoom in. Where is that? Ah. Really? There's no. You really did that to me, huh? Are we getting there? Or do I need to make it bigger still? Probably a lot bigger. Oh yeah, I did Command Plus, and it just don't not in BB Edit, like an annoying monster. I don't know why it does that. Let me. Benefits of 42 different code editors on your computer. There we go. Who cares what this other stuff says? We're just looking at what's written. Okay. How are we doing now? Can you read it now? Okay. So we're setting our on this all explains it very clearly for us. It's very nice. Actually, we're getting the base URL, the email address, and the API token from our environment variables. We've set the custom field ID and the context ID. And then we're defining the function get all custom field options paginated. So we're starting here with ops. It's going to be a list of the custom field options. We're starting at 0. And then what's happening is, while true, we're going to use the variable URL, which is going to hold this whole string, which will be the URL to get our custom field options. So and we will do is we will use the requests module, and then we'll send get. Basically, we're saying get the using the URL and the API email and API token with the headers and the parameters. This is just saying get the options. It's going to get. I don't know why it says response rates for status, and then I don't see it defined anywhere. That's interesting. Um, but then data response to JSON, get the values out of there. Um, and then it's extending ops, so it's appending the values onto the table. So basically, it's getting each of the options and then adding them into the list. If the total number of items in the values um, that we're getting back is smaller than the page size, 50, then we stop because that means we've gotten everything. And then it starts at the next top of the page size. And so this, while it's true, we're going to keep running. So while actually this right here is true. While the function is true, this is actually the falsity, I think, here. I forget exactly how while works. But it's going to keep doing this, and then if this happens, then it's going to break. And then it's going to give you the list of all the options. Then we've also defined our next thing, which is delete options. So we've stored these IDs. I mean, I'm trying to understand if it's just giving us. It should be interesting because I'm wondering what the values are going to be. Oh, actually, I don't need to. I think values are literally, we know this. If we go look, get custom field options, the return is going to be, but values contains ID and value. So now I'm going to look and see if it's the, I'm really intrigued because is it doing the job of differentiating between ID and value in its response here? Option ID. Yeah, but where it's getting option ID from? For opt-in options, oh, there it is. Got it. These are all helper functions. So weirdly, they can be written in really strange ways. And they don't mean anything. Main is the thing that actually runs it. I mean, they do mean things. But this is basically saying, I'm going to send the option ID over um, and ask it to be deleted using the uh, yeah, I think that's right. Let's look. Yep, delete is a type of call that you can make. So that's what we're doing. We're making the call to the option ID and that deletes it. And it'll say, oh, I deleted. And then this is the main function. So it says, check to make sure that you have these things: the base URL, the API email, and the API token. And it shows an example of how to set them. And then this is what it starts to do. It fetches the options. It gets all the options. Then it says, I'm going to tell you how many options it got for this custom field ID with this context. If there was nothing, it would say nothing to delete, exiting. And then this is its loop right here for opt-in options. So for each option, get the ID. And as long as there is something that you get out of there, run delete option, that function above, with the option ID as the parameter. When that's completed, print all options deleted. And if name equals main, this just means if you reach the main function in the script, run it. You notice it doesn't say that for the other ones because the other ones are basically helper. Like this is the main script. This is the main function that contains the other ones that do the work. And so I believe this is the script that should do everything. My only question, and you let me know if you have any idea about this, Lena, or yeah, Lena. It says response.raise for status, and it's a method def raise for status and says none. Is this just like a method that gets used in the requests API or the requests module, and is that why it's called that? I guess I could also do a fun thing, which is like I could select this. No, 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 no. It's a backend. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so this just is basically saying bring back the status code, because if there's something wrong, then like give me the status code, because that would make it stop working. Without that, the code might silently continue without data from a failed request, leading to confusing bugs later. With it, you'll get immediately clear feedback when something goes wrong, making debugging much easier. RESP is response. So RESP is basically, yeah, the response in the requests method, or sorry, in the request library. Yes, 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 I know, because probably where you have this, you're not using it. That's fine. But yeah, so basically, the response resp is the result of request.get. So it's the response. It's holding the information that comes back. So just yeah, resp.raise for status, which it will just give you that right there. Automatically raises an exception if the request was unsuccessful. So if it's not a 200 success code. So yeah, so the answer to your question is this. Kennedy, this script you would generate you would put in the URL for your Atlassian, your Jira, like your Jira environment. They're like the main base URL. You would generate an API token through your profile. You would put your account email in. Well, oh, interesting. It's also not. Hold on. Is it? Is it going to? I bet I think requests automatically base64 encodes this. But it's not passing appropriate header. Oh, interesting. So when you do this correctly for authentication, you want to do authorization :basic and then the base64 encoded, um and I don't see it doing that unless auth automatically inside of requests does that. I don't know. I can check. Yes. Okay, it will. It does actually. Yep, automatically when it has the username and password, if you provide that, request get or request post, it automatically um base64 encodes it for you and prepends basic. So that's why you can just put the username and password, or the email address and token there. It will do all of the special things behind the scene that you have to do to get an appropriate response out. Oh yeah, you wouldn't use script runner for this. For this, the easiest thing to do is to install Python and run it. You're probably like, how the hell do I install Python? Well, the way you install Python. I mean, like the other way to do this. Hold on, let me see if I can find. Atlassian has some good instructions actually on how to run scripts using. Uh, I mean, what am I going to tell you? I'm going to tell you install Python and run the script. Uh, I could also send you the script inside of something like PyInstaller and give you an exe and then it would work. But what my recommendation is learning this small little piece of setting up your development environment. So I would be like this: how to install Python. Do you use Windows or Mac? Oh, Postman. Okay, yeah, I can't remember how to configure scripts in Postman. I have to rewrite it in JavaScript. So I guess we would put it in JavaScript, and we would put together Um, Mainly the pre-request script would be the definition of the helpers, and then the post request script would simply be, well, no, not even. I think we'd hit with we just like this helper, get all options, and delete option. It's interesting. I'd have to think about that because I'm not really sure how I would break that up that way. Um, they do have some examples here that you could do to see how that would work, but I would just install Python. Windows, okay. How to install. Well, here's the cool thing. Look at this. Microsoft has a really simple instruction process for how to get started using Python on Windows for beginners. Sure, absolutely. In fact, what I'll do, where is my other window? Got it. Okay, there we go. There's what I wrote to ChatGPT. It also includes the script that it gave me back. And then here's the instructions on getting started with Python. I think once you go through the Python getting started, and then I think you'll be ready to go ahead and put this code, because basically you're going to put this code in a .py file. Then you're going to make it executable, and then you're just going to run it. You're going to set environment variables, and then you're going to run it, and it should walk you through all of that. And you can also just ask chat, like, how do I set environment variables? But yeah, that should be the easy way to do that. Oh yeah, the sharing, it's very nice. Yeah, you can truly become like really good at doing things without too much knowledge because you can follow instructions. And then usually what I will do is then be like, explain to me how this thing works. Why does it work this way? Or what are the risks? Or how can I test this without actually it running? So like I could go to ChatGPT, you won't see this in yours, but let me do this. So I'm going to say to them, and see what it does here is what I asked it to do was Mm, so simulate the API calls for deletion. And so take a dry run flag. So basically it does get all the options here and then delete option. So this is the thing. Option ID dry run equals false. If dry run, print dry run would delete this option. And then it doesn't actually run the command. And that's sort of the secret that it does here. And then the main here says check the options here. So add argument dry run, store true, help. Don't actually delete, just show it what happens. So that tells you that that's an argument that's now been added to dry run. That if you put dry run in, then that won't happen, and it won't actually happen. It'll just tell you what would happen. The other thing you can do is if you get into more stuff, you can write unit tests. I don't understand how unit tests work. Um, but this is bigger than me. It creates a fake page of options and then mocks the delete response and then tells you whether everything worked correctly, apparently. And you can put it in a pipeline. I have no idea how that stuff works. Mock requests, bigger than me. Bigger than me, gotta tell you. Haven't learned that one. So I guess request mock get, like if it were going to work. You put in fake values here. And then basically it's like, okay, so then here's what we're going to try is we're going to actually do these deletes. But we're going to do them against our mock values that are fake. Because it's all fake values that it's putting in. And then it's basically like, if I ran this with these options, with all of this in, this is what would happen. And then it checks to say, did these things really happen? And that's how that works. Wild. Learning things every day. Got it. And we're basically testing the different paths, but with fake data, so that we're not actually doing the things. Which is like I've heard that one of the things that you do, there's a test-driven development where you write all the tests first, and then they're failing, and then you write the code to make the tests pass. Yep, unit test cases first, and then code. We're gonna learn how to code in this world, friends. Um, I am, like I said, I'm hopefully gonna have some Forge folks coming, but also I've talked to my partner who is a rocket scientist and data scientist, Python genius, to see if I can get him to do some just like how to understand basic code. Um, and I've got another person who's Aaron Geister's agreed to sort of walk people through the CLI. So we can put all these groups together. We're going to put this stuff together so that people can learn how all of this stuff works, so that we can make coders out of everyone. Do we have any more questions at the moment? I don't think so. Ooh, I mean, yeah, you and Nathan would get along well. I'm pretty sure he's got a bunch of C experience. So, I mean, yeah, because a lot of his experience is in Fortran and Python are the two that he knows the best. But much like you, much like him, probably, you are very comfortable learning new languages because once you learn the fundamentals of how languages are written, then you can learn almost all of them. Ooh, okay. Actually, no, this is not a bad one at all. Right now, admins have to keep doing exports so they can review their group memberships. So you want to display group memberships to agents. Um, where okay, group memberships for users, like what groups users are in by group, what groups users are in. Okay, we haven't done a lot of Confluence stuff lately. Because the best place for this is going to be in a knowledge base article, probably. There's a couple of ways that you could do this. I don't know if any of it's going to not require code, but let's think about this here. Okay. All right, let's get big. So my favorite thing to do is generally to start with what can I do? Like what can I do in the UI? So I love to come here and just be like, what if I wanted to be able to do this? Right? And that means what I really want isn't oh, this is the tour. Skip the tour. I want to see what actions there are. So we'll pick a trigger. Cool. Add an action. Okay, what all actions do we have here? Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So, I mean, like, what could I do? I could send a web request. Every time I can send a web request. And I say that because literally I could send a web request and say, let me just show you here from the Jira Cloud REST API, which is what's wild here. You can start to see how powerful this stuff can be. Because what could I do? I could just ask it to give me all of the I could just ask it to give me all of the groups, and then I could ask it to give me all of the users from every group, and then I could figure out a way to format that as a table in Confluence. Like down and dirty, I could write a couple of web requests with a loop inside of. Lena, what do you mean when you say you could just do it on the web browser? I think the point that Kennedy's making is these users don't have access to see groups inside of Atlassian admin because that's not a permission that they have. So we need to be able to show it to them another way. Actually, you could literally create a because you could create a Confluence page and update that page, and you could write the whole thing in ADF. Yeah, there's a couple of ways to do this. And the first and easiest way is just like, well, not easiest. I'm saying that because, like, what could I do is I could run this daily and have it pull the membership down, and then it could look at the list and understand what the membership is. The second way to do this would be to write a Rovo agent. Oh no, you can't write a Rovo agent for this because you don't have access to the admin APIs. So you could write a Confluence macro, actually. I think, well, maybe not, because Forge as app. Let me look. Oh, that's not helpful. So weird when it does it that way. Oh, actually, hold on. Cloud admin. That's what I want. Because these are not groups just for Jira. These are groups across the entire organization, right? Hmm. Yeah, actually, I think this is going to be a little more complex because ultimately, what you have to do is get every user. I think. Yep, get users in organization. It'll give you a list of their group IDs, and then you need to basically flip it and take all of the group IDs and then organize the users by group ID. And then what you need to do is put it in a way for folks to consume it. Right, so they're using Jira access requests, change controls, set groups to approve different functions. So the business owners tell us who to add, but they can't see them to audit periodically. This is a place. Let's see. We were working on assets earlier. Um, just looking here, JSON Discovery. I think primarily does network scanning. Yep. It finds things that are connected to the network. what we want to do is we want to um oh no. So you can export the user data from Jira and format it as a CSV file and then import it into assets. So I really love when this happens. Can folks still hear me and see me and everything? Is this just like a single screen problem that's going on? Okay, cool, great. It's running, but let's see here. See if I can see what's hanging. Not whole arc, come on. Oh, well, that's fun. Oh, no, okay. What if I open up a Safari? Ah, that cleared it weirdly. Okay, cool. Okay. You can import users into asset objects. So there's instructions on how to do this. Um, you can do this easier now because what I would recommend is put this stuff into assets, set up a regular sync of this information, and then go ahead and just like uh, shove it off and then use a macro to put it in a table or to give folks like a form to look it up. Because once it's an asset, you can do a whole bunch of fun stuff with it. But right now, it's separate, and that's annoying. So there's a bunch of stuff that Atlassian is working on here. Um, one of these is Assets Data Manager, which is a feature set that lets you bring in data from different sources. The thing it doesn't allow you to do at the moment is um, I think automatically import the data. Yeah, so here you go. Bunch of fun adapters. So the adapters are used to connect to your data sources. So you can literally connect to yeah, the flat file adapter would probably be what you use because you would download a file and then just like suck it in through Data Manager. Um, so today at the moment, like, so you have to do some weird workarounds for this stuff. Yeah, that's what I would do probably. Like the other way to do it is are your groups in are your groups in Atlassian Cloud synced with your groups in like Azure or Google or whatever you're using? Right, okay. Maintained within Jira. Stored directly in Atlassian and maintained within Jira. In assets? No, you're like you have to manually go put in somebody in a new group in Atlassian admin, right? Okay. Yeah. Um this is one of those situations where at the moment what you want to do is and it's just tricky because assets also doesn't have ability to automatically import into schemas right now from anywhere. So like it's a manual job to go click and refresh that thing, which is stupid. And it's something they need to fix. And it's something that people have said over and over again. Um, because what you want is that user to be in assets because they're in Atlassian Cloud. Today you have to like sort of make that happen. Um, and same with the groups. And they made it harder in the cloud. So you do sort of need to like pull all that stuff down. You probably have to write something slightly off the platform at the moment right now, or build. You could build. Well, you can build like partially a Forge app for this. I mean, you can, but like the way that assets apps work or like asset importers is kind of wild. So I would probably um yeah, put it into a flat file and then suck it in and then organize like reorganize it and then pull it back in. But I would probably do it off platform at the moment. Ah. Somebody asked this yesterday or earlier today. How do you show your assets based on organizations or link things? Well, somebody built this. So like you can build a Forge app on how to on like on automatically importing some of this stuff. All these special things you need to do. So maybe this might be something we work on sometime soon. But this is important app for Jira users. Yeah, see, for JSM that exists, organizations and service desks. I guess you can kind of bring in users through this. Maybe. Let's see. But again, it's the same sort of thing. What you're dealing with is like an app here. And the way it works is it does what I'm talking about, which is like you get tokens, and then when you create the schema, you get a token from that, you drop it in, and that lets it start importing things. Um, Right. Okay. So it's pulling in users. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, this is a thing that you could probably like. I mean, you can buy it from them. You can also, oh, but it's just doing users. It probably doesn't even do groups. Yeah. It's annoying. Does it do groups? No, organizations, users, and their relationships, not groups. So yeah, it may be on my list, our list to build something like this. There's a whole thing here um, on how to do all this. It's kind of wild. So this is a thing I haven't dug into too much yet, but it's a thing that is on my list to do because yes, I would like to be able to do this more easily. I don't think you can do a scheduled job to export from the Atlassian directory. I don't think there's a way to do that today. I mean, you could run a scheduled automation, but then that's going to be stuck inside automation. So I guess you could do a scheduled job like you would just have to write like a scheduled third party job using like Windows Scheduler or AWS or Azure, like one like Azure Functions or AWS Lambda. But the easiest thing would be to do that and then just use the asset. Oh yeah, then you'd have to do the asset side too. Yeah, it's really annoying actually. The import is not easy. Then you'd have to build an import. Yeah, you have to build an import thing. Oh, they have. A lot of people have asked for it. Um, we just haven't gotten anything yet. I think it's part of what they're working on with Assets Data Manager, but they haven't. They haven't finished it yet, and I am surprised that there's not like more of like manage your Jira users in here too. And people are frustrated about this. You know, I mean, like here's the Jira Service Management Cloud knowledge base. See if there's anything you can schedule and assets import using automation. Okay, that would help. You then need to, because then if you could download your assets, your users, and then schedule the import using automation. Though I'm not even sure if that one still works. That might have changed. I can't remember. Oh, this does not work. for discovery and external imports. This will work, for JSON and CSV imports, as these files are already, okay, so you could do this, where basically you could do the thing in the other place to generate the file. It goes to a place where there's already a URL available. And then that URL can be accessed by assets already. But yeah, you can tell, like, people are exhausted by this thing. How to import Jira user attributes with either Atlassian accounts or customer IDs. Got to export the users. Yep. There it is. I don't know if you can, let's see here. Oh yeah, with that gets with the admin with the org API. So yeah, with the org API, you could get all users. And then it would give you all their information. And then you could use that and use um and then you can import users. Yeah, so you can get export the information. I know, then it has the whole thing. You export the list. It's like a whole thing. So yeah, if you were trying to build something, you might end up using this. And this. And then if you wanted to do it on a schedule, then maybe something like this. Because basically, you would get the data, make it look like the way it's supposed to look, and then you would put it where it needs to go. Here's make the data look right. And then you would schedule the import using that other one I was looking at. Here we go. That's probably the easiest way. It's kind of terrible, but it is what it is. You could also schedule an export this way, I think, with an admin API. I don't know. That's the thing I'd have to test. Because you could do a send web request, use the organization thing here. I just don't know how it gets out of there to a place where you can actually use it. That's the problem. Alrighty. Well, friends, this has been another wonderful time. I'm going to call it about 10 minutes early, if that's all right with everyone. Thank you for coming to the clinic this week. Look forward to more things coming next week, hopefully. see if we can get things kicked off maybe with Marketplace Monday, but maybe we'll also get into, I don't know. There's no good F like Forge Friday, I guess, but then it's Friday all the way. Seems a little far away. And Fridays, like, are people going to show up on Fridays? Maybe Friday mornings we could do it. That could be fun. All right, y'all. Be well and take care.